You're listening to The Jake Asman Show on the SportsMap Radio Network.
Presented by Rocket Mortgage.
Live from the O'Reilly Auto Parts Studios, here's Jake Asman.
Our next guest is one of the best columnists in the country. I've been a fan of his work for a long time, and this is his first time I've ever had a chance to interview him here on the show. He is the great Bob Ryan from the Boston Globe, and he joins us now. Bob, appreciate your time here on a Saturday. Thanks so much for coming on.
Well, you're welcome. So what's up now?
Well, I want to talk to you about all things Cam Newton and the Patriots, Bob. What was your initial reaction to the Pats bringing him back on a one-year deal?
Well, I will echo part B here of what I'm about to tell you. Was my colleague at the Boston Globe, Ben Volin, ran an informal Twitter poll upon receipt of the news. And 31% said it's the right move. And 69% said, are you kidding me? I am afraid I'm in the latter category. If you think this is going to work out, you really are hopeful that he's going to make an astonishing improvement in arm strength, accuracy, just throwing the football to the right people. And he was horrible at it last year. He had 8 touchdown passes in basically a full season. He ran for 4 more touchdowns than he passed for. And no, congratulations for running for 12 touchdowns. That's fine. But it doesn't inspire a lot of confidence in too many people around here, quite frankly.
Bob, how much of Cam's struggles in your mind this past year were due to the lack of weapons, the COVID battle that he faced? Mm-hmm. How much of that played in, and how much of it is just, as you said, he just wasn't good last year?
It certainly has to be taken into consideration. It's well known and well documented and well understood by football fans that the Patriots lacked weaponry, which is one reason why Tom Brady flew the coop at the end of the 19 season. He looked around and said, "Who am I throwing to?" So that was that, and that didn't get improved at all last year. So that is true, and that's why it's tough to You have to give him the benefit of the doubt that he didn't have good weaponry. Okay. But we watched him play all year. And I remember after game 1, in which he was okay. And actually he's pretty good. And I'd said, boy, I'll take 15 more of those. Well, you know how many more of those we actually had? And they did go 7-9. But you know how many more of those we actually had? About 3. And maybe 3. There was too much not to like. There was too much, oh my God, who's he kidding? Look where he ranks in all the passing categories. Now, what all this said, the fact of the matter is, I'm going to quote you of someone who's well known in the Patriot organization, has some power. He's a very unselfish player. He's a great teammate. He's earned everybody's respect, really, daily. He just continues to do everything that he can to help our team, and that's really all you can ask for anyone. And he continually does that, puts himself last, and puts the team first. That was Bill Belichick. So with a backer like that, that's fine. The teammates loved him. He became an immediate captain. He gave nicknames to everybody. He was a cheery presence and all that. And that's fine. But was he very good? No.
Bob Ryan from the Boston Globe with us here. So the Patriots had the 15th overall pick. Obviously, Cam, I think if he's a bridge option, fine, but he can't be the long-term option. Do you see New England finally taking a quarterback in the first round?
Well, we're all hoping. We all of us have no power. We're all hoping that now who's going to be left by that point? All the names it's going to be a very interesting quarterback draft. Could Trey Lance still be around at 15? I would doubt it. Is Mac Jones going to be around? Is he all that good? Was he buoyed up by one of the great supporting casts? And, you can imagine having college football offensively. I don't know. But you would think that they have to be in the market for a quarterback. The answer isn't Jarrett Stidham. The answer obviously isn't Brian Hoyer. They need to draft a quarterback. Meanwhile, count me among those who honestly feel that they would do very well for themselves in the 2021 season to go after and enable Ryan Fitzpatrick to fulfill his goal of playing for every team in the division.
He's available. Jacoby Brissett is available as well if they wanted to go back down that route.
And they do have I think there was a a liking there. I think there was a warmth for him, and of course Jimmy G, who most of the people here were thinking that might be the viable option, and it would be a viable option. Are they still going to try to make a move and have them both? I doubt it. Some people think that this categorically means that it's dead. Other people don't. Remember, we're talking about Bill Belichick. He certainly isn't tipping his hand, other than I just told you these wonderful quotes about how much he loves Cam Newton. So there's a lot of uncertainty obviously with this quarterback situation, and we are really curious to get this draft going to find out, when number 15 rolls around, what they're going to do.
Bob,
if they don't trade, remember, Bill Belichick is a master of the trade down. Draft day trades are part of his deals.
No doubt about that. So, Bob, what is the reaction in New England to Tom Brady signing another contract extension at age 43?
I don't know if there's any much tangible one anymore. I think people got over whatever they felt about Brady. If it was negative and they were angry and bitter.
Negative? How can people be negative, Bob?
Leaving, I think they're all over that. I think now it's whatever happens, happens. It's receding. I would think. I mean, the fact that he signed, I don't think it surprises anybody. He's talked about playing till he's 45, and now we have to honestly realize he means it.
Absolutely. Bob Ryan joining us here from the Boston Globe. Do you think Belichick, he'd never admit it publicly, but when he watches Brady in the regular season throw 40-something touchdowns and then go win 3 road playoff games to get to the Super Bowl and then win Super Bowl MVP, do you think deep down he knows he screwed that up, that he should have just, paid Brady whatever and made it work?
No, I think he's saying it wasn't going to happen here, and that's that. He may have. That's what I think. I could be totally wrong, but I would come down to say no. He won't allow himself to think that. He'll allow himself to think that Brady did have a better circumstance, and that there was no reason to think it was all going to work out all this well. But that's my guess. That's my take. I certainly am not sure about it.
Bob Ryan, Boston Globe sports columnist, with us here on the Jake Asman Show. Bob, while I have you, I mean, the Celtics this year, it's been an up and down season to say the least. They're 19-18 right now, third in their own division, and certainly there were huge expectations for this team. Why has this team been so inconsistent this year?
First of all, they missed. Turns out they could have used Gordon Hayward. A year ago at this time, they were playing well, and Hayward had finally returned to pretty close to his previous All-Star form after his terrible run of injuries that began the first night he played for the Celtics, and they were playing well, and he was important. Now, in the last month, on the beginning of the season, they didn't have Kemba Walker. And now that he's back, he's still on a not back-to-back game basis. He's starting to play, though, better and look like himself. They didn't have him. And they signed Jeff Teague, and Jeff Teague, started off okay, but they kind of receded. And all right. Then Marcus Smart got hurt and missed a month. And he's very important to them. Jason Tatum contracted the COVID to a degree and has not returned physically to his old self, the self that got him made him an all-star starter. We didn't see that until very recently. So they haven't been whole. Now, does everybody have COVID? Yes. Does everybody have injuries? Yes. So, that they're not they're not the worst team hit, but they're not, I think, don't judge them yet. I really mean it. I really believe that you should wait another 4 weeks and see where they stand once they get everybody back and ready to go and with their full complement. I think they still would be probably the third best team in the division in the conference if they're whole and able to do what they play to their max.
What was the reaction in Boston to their old friend Kyrie Irving doing what he did to help Brooklyn win the other night?
No, it hurts. It really hurts. But all I say to people in Brooklyn is, don't get too excited. Yeah, yet. If you squeeze a championship out of him this year, yes, you're so lucky. I will predict, as I've been predicting, this will not be his last stop. And every time he leaves a team, people wind up saying, we couldn't figure this guy out. Right now, it's going fine. But if maybe he has found peace and serenity and found out whatever it is in life he's searching for, because he sure wasn't able to find it in any other place he's been. And is he incredibly talented, one of the most gifted guys at his size? particularly getting to the rim. Yes, he's enormously talented, and he's a complicated human being, complicated individual. Maybe this is the answer. Maybe this is what he's been searching for, because I'm telling you, he's been searching for something, and I'm not sure he knew what it was.
Bob Ryan from the Boston Globe with us here. Bob, while I have you, I've been such a big fan of your work for years, been reading you in the Boston Globe since I really grew up a sports fan. I love hearing you talk about some of the legendary stories that you were involved with covering the Bird era Celtics teams in the 80s. Is there one that stands out that you could share with our listeners?
There's little anecdotal things with Larry. I mean, we could talk about great games and performances, but that anybody, could go find and look. And I was, thrilled to be able to see them. My favorite Bird games, would be the thing that defined him in the time that he played, the thing that separated him then and that night. I think the date was either June 6th. I think it was June 6th, 1984. It was a Friday night. It was Game 5 of the finals. It's 2-2. We're coming back home after LA, and it's 97 degrees. We're having a heat wave, and there's no air conditioning in the old Boston Garden. And the Lakers they don't even want to be there. They just don't even want to be there. Kareem they have oxygen masks on the bench. They've got seriously, and the place is crazy. The fans have made it into a happening. They never have so many worn so little clothing in the history of that building. Every woman was in halter tops. Everybody was wearing shorts. It was 97 degrees Fahrenheit when they tipped it off, and the Lakers didn't want to be there. Larry Bird went 15 for 20, 34 points, 20 rebounds, and took over the game. And after the game, they said, Larry, how could you do that? He said, hell, it's that hot back home in the summer playing basketball. Or words to that effect. But that's one of them. But that defined him, mind over matter in that case. That's just one example. I'll give you one quick personal example. One night in Chicago, before the game, he was shooting. I was talking to him, and I said, hey, I'll bet you can't make a left-hand three-pointer. And he said, well, how many tries? I said, all night. So he takes the ball, and he gets into, and nearly smart guy, naturally. He goes to the corner, naturally. Second one, swish. It was for $5. So I hand him the $5 bill, and he puts it in his sock. And I want to believe to this day that he played that whole game with that $5 bill in his sock.
That is awesome. Bob Ryan for the Boston Globe has been our guest. You can find him on Twitter at Globe Bob Ryan. Bob, thanks so much for a couple minutes. Thanks for your time. And we definitely got to get you on again soon. We'll see what New England does at quarterback going forward.
Yeah, it will be very interesting. And if you can check me back on the Celtics in a month, too. Okay.
We'll see how they do. Bob Ryan with us there on our progressive guest line. Good stuff from the longtime legendary sports columnist up in Boston. We'll take a quick break and continue, wrap up the first hour of 3. Jake Asman with you here on a Saturday afternoon, right here on the Sports Map